Oh boy. Oh boy. The
Here we
time
go.
has come. And what
All
time
right.
is that, Ying?
A Dolphin counter maybe? No. All right. So it's Crocodile Mirror, and what are your predictions? How many times will
Dang, can I get a
Dolphin get
predictions up?
bounced?
Who's gonna win, Croc or Croc? I think Croc might have this, dude. I ain't gonna
Uh,
lie.
no, I gotta go with Crocodile. I can't do Croc.
I'm excited to see because there are a lot of nuances. They did. I don't know if they mulliganed or anything like that, but that would very greatly influence what I think is going to happen here. But there's a lot to be said about the blue mirror. So
Oh
hopefully we
yeah,
can try to express just how skill intensive this mirror can actually be.
very very skill intensive. Like when you play Crocodile or not Crocodile, when you play your Dolphin, will decide the outcome essentially. When that Dolphin gets played, when you can play your other characters and start going wide.
I think
This one
I
does
think
that
it's a
primary
little I
effect.
think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. But yes, Doflamingo is a very much a key card in this matchup. Uh,
Do you know
by
what's
all means,
just as important?
Sentamaru.
Of course, you can't leave Centamaru out.
I'm pretty sure Sentamro is the like S plus plus card of this deck. So like you definitely want a hand with Sentamro in it. And if you don't have a hand with Sentamro in it, you want to have some sort of answer to it, aka teach.
Yep.
So we see very optimal turn ones from both players. The Law, which is safe to be deployed early in this matchup. The Jinbei, good answer to simple board states. And before we do anything here, we're going to go ahead and swing with the Crocodile, leaving the 3 open, which signifies to me that a potential Centamaru is going to go ahead and come down. And here we go. Yup.
There it is. All right. Well, he
Just
get
a yup.
counter,
Will he have the teach? So here's the two things. This I call this the classic Vienna opener, the Centamaru into the teach. But if
and
he
then
doesn't
back to
have,
Centamaru for another.
well, no, actually, on 5, you probably don't Centamaru again. You probably save it for a little bit later. You want to
That's
deploy a
true.
couple other things. But it definitely depends on what the even player has here. If he doesn't have teach, what does he do? He's gonna go ahead and swing with the crocodile, which signifies that, and we're just
There is.
the classic opener. I love it. So we're gonna
Yeah.
go now to 5, which is again a weird total for blue. This is one of the weirder numbers. Now the best
Yeah.
thing to deploy here would be the 5-drop blocker crocodile, 6K blocker with a little bonus special effect. But if we don't have it, what are we doing?
Uh. No, how do you think about this? Like this is really awkward. The spot is not exactly what you would say the best spot.
Yeah, this this
Your
is this is clean so far. So he chooses to
oh,
go
he
for the
does go.
Centamaru, which is fine, right? He doesn't have the crocodile. He deploys the Centamaru again, but in all actuality, if the player Noah just happens to have his own Centamaru, he's going to deploy right here because now he is the first to cast the Centamaru effect. So he's going to go 5 at face once again, leaving all his Don open, putting his opponent on the response. His opponent looks like he's going to be deciding to not take this hit. Yep,
So
pitching a
here's
Weevil, and we're gonna go 3. Oh my, this guy's
there
bro. Noah
is.
is based. So this is actually the best opener you can possibly have, going second as blue into the blue mirror, which is the Jinbei Teach Sentamaru, and he has just shown him I have the draw. Now, how do you respond to this draw? It's gonna be very difficult to go from here because
It
now
is. Whew.
now the top player, Kevin, right? Kevin is now put on 7. 7 is usually a flamingo turn, but it's very difficult to flamingo this board, right? You
Yeah.
don't really just want to go 7 bounce a pacifista because that puts you like kind of bad because they're going to go ahead and Centamaru next turn plus deploy something else. So he's just going to say, I'm going to answer your Centamaru with my own Centamaru and leave 2 Dawn up for a potential level of beam. He is very low in hand size, so he does need a bit of cycle. But this is now, once again, he is behind on the play. His board is smaller, and he hasn't attacked yet, which is quite weird.
The only other thing I would say he can do is play his own teach.
He has to have like a combination of teaches and
There it
sobbles,
is.
and yeah, so that's the best way to kind of like come back on the board here is to go ahead and force him to answer that. But now you're still one turn behind if that makes any sense, right? Because he
Yeah,
was able to send Tom first, so you're on the hit with the pacifista initially. So let's see how Noah answers this board state. Now he's at 8 Dawn, which puts him to 10 first, which is the flip turn, right? Which is also very important to understand that on the following turn, Kevin can't commit too heavily onto the board because you are going to get bounced by Crocodile's effect. It is the turn will he will be minusing 4. So it looks like we're going to be attaching a bit of Dawn here. Jinbei's finally going to get into the mix, swinging
Oh,
5k at lead.
there goes the first swing.
Yeah, and just like that, with such low cards in hand, this is the turn where he has to identify, I need to make sure that these teaches and these Jinbeis actually turn sideways, as it's very difficult for him to defend these certain turns, as he's been defending very heavily up to this point. He's going to
Yeah,
go 5-5-6. He's going to Mihawk. It looks like the card he
that's a,
added was a Mihawk. He's going to go 5 again. Make sure that you just have to start pitching cards or start burning lives. Very difficult
I
decisions.
don't think going under 3 here is smart. It's way too early to go under 3.
At the end of the day, he does have a law. He always could use this law to chump block these hits while setting up potential for more Moria plays. But
Yeah.
it is not an easy decision to make. He has yet to decide on this 5k off the leader. This is quite a big thing.
Yes. Most pushes for the win are usually from 2 and under. So
Mm-hmm.
once you get to that point, you're really putting yourself on the clock.
But just like we saw last game, blue is one of the decks that can very easily go ahead and, flip board states, right? And make sure that like what looked like to be a losing game now becomes a potentially winning game. So he's just going to go ahead and expend the rest of his 6 Dawn to go ahead and say, I'm going to put you on the biggest board I can, because that is easily the hardest thing that blue has to deal with, is a wide board. But 3 of his characters are unactive, meaning that they can be attacked to him. And if he can just have the Dawn placed correctly, you can be able to fix this board state. I think it's very
There,
possible still.
he just returns 4 Dawn back and sends the pacifista back to the hand.
Returning 4 Dawn here is so aggressive, man. Holy moly. So this means that if this gives Kevin a chance, if Kevin is able to answer this board state without minusing 4, I'm pretty sure Kevin is now in a position to win this game. Just because losing that 2 extra Dawn over your opponent is so pivotal.
If I remember correctly, Kevin should be on 9.
He's on 9.
So he used 3 already. He's down to 6.
Mm-hmm. You could argue that minus 4ing on 9 is very fine, because you're basically fixing the fact that you're on odds, so you would gain the bonus Dawn.
Yes.
But definitely minus 4ing on 8 is a little suspect. But I guess we'll have to see how it plays out for him. So let's see how Kevin is able to deal with this board state. He definitely has the tools.
That looks like a teach a swing.
Yeah, Teach is going to go ahead and swing at either Jinbei or, Marshall D. Teach. It's equivalent at this point in time, which reveals a card in hand. I can't tell how many cards Noah has in hand, but it's looking like 3. Yeah, he's dealing with 3 or 4 cards in hand, which isn't much. You have to assume that there are, to some extent, some sort of bricks in his hand, in the form of Crocodile, Endoflamingo, Sobbles, things like that. So you might be able to get away with pushing over a lot of these characters. This Centomaru can easily punch over this Jinbei, but then that unactivates your Centomaru. And is that truly something that you want to do at this point in time?
Absolutely not. Like, if you do that right now, you're putting yourself in a really bad spot where if that Centomaru is gone, that's it. That's just
Yeah,
it.
he is kind of your winning race at this point. Yeah.
You lose your race 100% of the time.
It is interesting to note that by paying the 3 Dawn, Kevin has said, I will not be Flamingoing you this turn, which, like I said, I don't think Flamingo is necessarily the correct play this turn, but he has definitely made it not an option anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. This Crocodile definitely going to clean up one of the smaller characters here, putting him on either a Mihawk or just having to let it go, and I think you have to keep the Mihawk, so yep, it's going to go ahead and clear the Teach. He still has the potential pacifista hit. Oh, and he has his own Teach. Very big. So by bouncing the Centomaru, I believe your Centomaru can swing right here, because he's going to go ahead and -4. He's going to -4 the pacifista. You're going to -4 the pacifista that is active, so that he has a chance of clearing the one that is inactivated. But you might have wanted to do this after your declared attacks.
Oh, he chooses not to attack the Centomaru. He keeps it active. He doesn't want it to get swung at.
Very interesting. I definitely would have turned my pacifista sideways, because I do plan on Centomaruing you again on the following turn, right?
No,
so now he's at maximum board space, which I guess you can argue that the law will be disappeared, so he'll be at 4. That's something you also have to consider.
Pacifista was just played.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies.
Yeah.
Then it would just have to be the Centaumeru that can go sideways. Okay, understood.
Yep.
That makes a
There's
lot more
only one
sense.
left. Yeah.
Okay, makes a lot
And
more sense.
he chose to protect it. He chose to keep it alive so he can go for
No, no,
another pacifist the following turn.
yeah, no, definitely. I can definitely see this. I see Kevin using this law in a defensive manner just so that he has more space on the board. Um, and now with your opponent, here's the thing: when you -4 added 8 total, you're down to 6, meaning that you lose Flamingo as an opportunity, anyways. And if Kevin is able to figure out this board while developing his own Flamingo on the following turn, Noah is basically out of this race. So he's going to go
Noah,
ahead. He's going to pay 4. He's going to leave 2 Dawn open for a possible Love Beam.
he
Just
uses one of
kidding.
them.
He's not going to be doing that. So he's going
He's
to go and get a
going
little
in.
aggressive. Going to get jiggy with it as this teach is lost, which is fine. We wanted to get one more space on the board anyways.
Yeah, we want the extra body. So with the open spot, you can drop a flamingo. You go.
Yeah.
I think He's at 5 right now. Yeah, he goes
Yeah,
up to
he goes
7.
exactly to 7, which is the flamingo turn. And then he's the first to drop a flamingo. And you always kind of want to be on the play on the flamingo because it becomes very difficult to answer unless your opponent has very specific responses, such as the Sobbles plus a Gecko Moria. That would be like the more better responses, as
Mhm.
opposed to flamingoing the flamingo doesn't feel fantastic,
But what
especially when
makes
you're
it?
behind on board.
But what this makes this even better is that now Kevin, instead of going
Hmm.
flamingo, he doesn't have to. He can actually get another pacifista out and play another teach if he has a teach.
No, he has, like I said, that's why sometimes these board states can get flipped so early. Even though it looked like Kevin was out of the race, you just play a little bit slower and you can still easily flip the board state. But that's not to say that this game is anywhere close to being over. And
Oh
that's
no,
just how the blue
definitely not.
mirror works. It's definitely a marathon and not a race.
No, it's not a race. It's a marathon. It's very skill intensive.
So we're
Knowing
gonna
when to play your cards will tell you whether you actually know how the matchup works, or if you just go for gold. If you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't. That's not the mentality you want in a situation like this, where keeping the extra card in your hand, keeping an out, playing
hmm
to your out,
hmm
will win you the game instead.
Agreed. So in this board state, right? He went ahead and he blocked the one hit, and then he lawed on the 6. So now he's thinking he has this pacifista that he can choose to attack or not attack. If this pacifista attacks, oh my goodness, that's so unfortunate.
Now he's opening himself up
He's
for
opening himself
his
up to potentially losing, like just completely losing the game.
yeah, he's losing his whole board next turn. I can
One,
almost guarantee the whole board being lost.
yeah, it is that strong. So he's more than willing to pitch the bonus Sentamu. He still has the one on board. Uh,
Yeah,
Noah can't -4 here. You can't use Crocodile's ability because if you do that, you most certainly have lost the game. It feels like now the wheel is out of your hands. You are no longer driving the car as it goes into Kevin's turn with most of his important attackers being suspended. So in
yep.
doing so, it gives Kevin the opportunity to go ahead and swing at this Jinbei, swing at this Pacifista, mill cards from your hand. If you don't got them, goodbye. And if you do, I can still summon another Pacifista. I can Flamingo you. There's just so much available to him that it's starting to look like a this game actually will end very soon.
At this rate, at the rate it's
at
going,
this rate. Yeah.
maybe another three or four turns at most.
Yeah, so he's gonna go ahead and Teach, and I'm assuming Teach is going into the Jinbei. Actually, that's the only possible thing Teach can be going into. So Honey chooses to block it with a Moria. Oh boy. That is very
Oh,
unfortunate. So yeah, this Sentamru 100% going into the Jinbei. Brother, you don't have to protect him this much. No. Okay, understood. Now, if your Pacifista gets lost because of this, you're going to be in a big bad spot. So Crocodile still hasn't swung. He wants to keep his Dawn open as much as possible to open himself up to a Flamingo play,
yeah.
but you might not need to Flamingo here if you can just clear the board
I
while
don't think the
deploying another
flamingo is the right play.
Pacifista.
I don't think the flamingo is the right play. I would say deploy another pacifista.
Interesting.
Go into a teach if you have a teach. That would bounce the Jinbei, and then use a crocodile effect to bounce the other pacifista. Attack
But
over the pacifista. That's the board clear.
but what if I've told you that I don't have a teach? Because you keep talking about having the teach.
I believe in Kevin having a teach. And look at his hand.
Kevin's teached already 2 times, so I find it a little bit more difficult to believe that he has it. So he's gonna. Okay, this Jinbei
Yeah,
has
right.
finally gone. Why did he
All right.
defend this Jinbei so heavily? And Moria is a big deal here, as Moria can most certainly add back a law. It can add back a Mihawk if he so chooses to use Sentamaru. There's a lot that can be done here. So he's going to go for the law and keep two up, which is one play, or he could have chosen to add Mihawk and activated Sentamaru.
Yep, and
So
he
he went for the law
most
and Love Beam. So I'm down to play law Love Beam. Seems very, very good.
very yeah. Just having one cost blockers allows you to control your board a lot more. Like your board state and your Dawn usage can you now allow you to go with triggers. Playing around triggers, you might not even have the level of beam in your hand. What if you don't? You're just playing it to
Yeah, now your
get
opponent
your
has
opponent.
to. You're just. It's mind games, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and red is the biggest culprit of it because they don't use their mana as efficiently as other decks. But red can leave like
Yep.
three open, and they definitely don't have three guard points. But you're afraid of some amount of guard points.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and see the teach here. Teach bouncing a law. Interesting. Still has 4 Dawn active, so he's at 8 Dawn this turn. What do you do with the rest of this Dawn? You're definitely not deploying a Centaur. There's just so much. So he's Kevin's very comfortable with letting his board leave because we understand that on the following turn his board can be answered in a very separate manner.
Yes.
So he's going to go ahead and let the Teach as well as Centamaru go down, not deciding to combo anything there. But you know what card is very important to protect, and that is the Pacifista. The Pacifista
Yep.
is a very, very strong card. I think this Pacifista is actually going face as opposed to going at the Pacifista,
Yeah.
which
It's going that
again,
face. He did discard two cards. If you went into Pacifista, all you need is discard one.
so we're going to see the Gecko Moria then. Gecko Moria, I believe we're about to find out how important this card is in this matchup. It's a 5K that can recycle almost all of the S tier cards in your deck, except for, Centaumer and Flamingo.
Yep.
But at this point in time, we've already expended the Centaumeru game plan. Now we're into the later stages. The only thing is, Kevin is up 1 Dawn every single turn, and he's always on the play. So let's see how Kevin uses that to capitalize from here.
So now the thing is, he only has two Pacifistas tapped, and there's only two attackers. It's very easy to defend it. As you can see, it just drops a Mihawk, easy defend. Life wise, it's he's much Kevin's behind on life.
He is behind in life, and that's the
Oh, he
only
hits a
part that got a
Sabo!
little scary.
That's too much.
Yeah, so by swinging at life there, it was a little spooky. The Sobbles has to take care of the Pacifista as you don't want to make him or allow Kevin to go ahead and Gecko Moria once again. But that is definitely one of the worst case scenarios that can happen in this game state. We are finding ways to lose this game.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we still have one attacker up. He still has 4 characters on the board, 5 potential swings next turn with the leader. He's gonna go Gecko Moria swinging. Okay.
He takes it, okay. Like
We're
he's
gonna
so
we're gonna
far
have to see some sort of Flamingo Sobbles action coming here. So we're gonna see Flamingo. It's gonna take care of the Pacifista. We're gonna -4 take care of the other Pacifista. Uh-huh. So we're gonna double bounce here, which makes it so that he's at 3 attackers next turn. We still have 2 up, which allows us to go ahead and um, have a Love Beam potential. But now our opponent here, Noah, if
Noah.
he has his own Flamingo or a Sobbles,
That's
any
it.
combination of those cards, it's going to be a very difficult spot to be in for
I
Kevin.
actually if Noah has it, it should be over very shortly. Unless there's a Sabo in Noah's life. Not
And
Noah's,
that's what I'm
Kevin's life.
saying. Although it looked super decisive 2 turns ago, and now we're back to like, oh wait a minute, this game is going to go on for 3 more turns.
Yeah, yeah, it looked
And
very
that
decisive.
is very nice. So yeah, that Sobbles, that it was the stepping stone that he needed in order to capitalize on the tempo that Kevin had been desperately trying to cling on to. So let's see how Noah goes about it. I think he just goes ahead and clears the Gecko Moria. If we're able to clear this Gecko Moria and not have to bounce it, then we're in such a fantastic spot.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and attach to our own Gecko Moria, and we're just gonna go ahead and attack. I'm assuming we're attacking the Moria, but it could be face. And we're just
There's
gonna
one
love
left.
beam. So love beam, once you activate it, you'll even though you're at 4, you'll be down to 3, so it'll allow you to draw going back up to 4 cards.
Yep. Love beam, it recycles itself. You use a card, you only get to get the card back again. What you draw, let's see if you draw a Mihawk, that's an extra 2000 counter if you need it.
Mm-hmm. No, it's definitely one of the strongest cards, and the only way that this goes sour, right? Because now we've expended 8 Dawn. Sorry, 4 Dawn, leaving us with 6 left. So leaving us with 6 left leaves very little plays that comes out of this. We can see either a 4, a 2. We can see like a 5 and a 1. Very little combinations that Noah can have at this point in time. He decides to go ahead and swing 6 at lead. We're going to drop another separate 2 cards, and then we're going to
And
Sobbles the
there's the
Flamingo.
Sabo.
Eh,
So
it's
now
not
it's
crazy because we simply can just swing over the Teach and then just replay the Flamingo. Or if we have our own set of Gecko Mores, we can just deploy them back. Like that didn't feel like that crazy of a turn. Am
it
I just
didn't.
crazy?
Yeah, no, that didn't feel as crazy because by playing a Sabo there, he's not getting an extra body. He's just removing a body instead.
Hmm. So it looks like Kevin is at 7. He's going to go ahead and swing at this Teach. The Teach is going to be defended pretty heavily here. He hasn't expended any Dawn just yet, but if he has a Sobbles of his own, a couple blockers here or there, he could try to go ahead and just acquire the board state back. The only thing we must not do, and must is a tough term, we would like not to do, is bounce the Gecko Moria. If we can refrain from doing that, that would be 10 out of 10.
And I don't know. It looks like he might be doing it.
Sometimes you've got to, and that's why it's so good in the mirror because you're forced to bounce it. And once you're bouncing this Gecko Moria, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna just get another Mihawk.
He gets so much value out of it. Just play it, I get a 2K counter. Play it, I get another 2K counter. You recycle Mihawk over and over and over. And better yet, what if you don't want Mihawk? You can just grab a law and
He
one
doesn't have
card.
any laws in the trash right now, but yes, there are. You have so many options with Gecko Moria. If you need a teach for offensive on the following turn, you can even add a teach, which rarely happens, but is another option. But yeah, Gecko is crazy, and yeah, just like what I assumed this turn to be, it was just going to be a flamingo. The question is it a flamingo flip turn? I'm not certainly sure you flamingo flip here. If you do the flamingo flip and your opponent has his own flamingo, not only will you be down for Dawn, you will be most definitely out of this game.
Oh, he sends the Moria back. Interesting.
Yeah, Moria is a more offensive card, and Kevin understands that he can't use his Crocodile Leader effect here. It would
He cannot.
most certainly end the game. So very again, very smart, obviously very practiced in this mirror and disciplined.
Yeah.
Let's see if that pays off though. So he did bounce the
Personally,
Gecko Moria.
I don't know. Personally, I may have decided to bounce the Teach instead. Cost wise is the same. However, the on play effect is not as
Drastically different.
efficient. Yeah, very, very different. It's more so offensive, while Moria is mixed. You can be offensive and defensive.
I think what was going through Kevin's head here is just the fact that he wants to go ahead and mitigate as much damage as possible. Right, Moria is standard 5. Oh, and that's I mean,
Oh,
it's just you can tell by his body language. That card is very good here, by the way. But just by his
yeah,
body language, he's not happy about going ahead and soloing the teach here. Like he already seems a little defeated just how simply he moved these cards. So here's
yeah.
where we're gonna start seeing the flamingo battle, and we're gonna have to engage in this. This is not something we want to engage in, but we are now forced to, unless we have a Sobbles. So
All
let's
right.
see.
So Flamingo to Flamingo, and then Flamingo to Flamingo back again, and Flamingo to Flamingo.
Which
All
is
right,
which
I'm
is
done.
interesting, right? Let's say Kevin went ahead and that makes it much more hard, much more difficult. So let's say
Ooh,
Kevin didn't go ahead and sobbles the teach. He could have potentially swung the crocodile at the teach and then sobbled the flamingo here while also developing potentially a Moria and things like that.
yeah.
But by choosing to just quickly trigger the effect without potentially seeing what could happen might lead to a possible mistake if he doesn't have the sobbles to answer this. We're gonna go ahead and now going to 9 Dawn.
Kevin has yet to hit 10.
Yeah, we don't do we do a little not tenning here, which seemed
Yeah,
very interesting because if I remember correctly, Noah went ahead and -4 at 8, so he should have been very behind this game in the dawn, but that's just the power of going second. Being on evens allows you to get to 10 in a much nicer fashion than odds
very,
do.
very true. The only deck that won't care about that is Kaido because they have extra ramp.
Yeah, Kaido doesn't care.
That's the only deck that doesn't care. They'll get to 10 no matter what.
Hmm. And now he has to do a lot of thinking. He has very limited resources, and even though Noah might not win this, he didn't set up a board that would win maybe next turn. He's definitely setting up for either this following turn or the turn after that to go for lethal. And
Mhm.
that's something that Kevin has to be very cognizant of. Hmm. it's a tough spot to be. He needs a quite an assortment of cards in order to come back from here.
I'm very curious as to what he plans to do. He's taking a while for his turn, though. He is taking a while.
It comes down to the wire at this point in time. Like we know he has the flamingo in hand. There are 3 mystery cards that are there. Are the mystery cards better than just flamingoing the flamingo and trying to check the leader? Not sure. It has to be like the 3 mystery cards have to be some sort of Sabos, Gecko Moria, or Teach. A combination of those cards that would allow you to deal with the board state while also creating a board. But by doing
Yeah.
so, you keep Flamingo in hand, which is not combo power, and it could potentially leave you to losing the game if you leave 2 swings available. So, kind of tough spot.
I see 4 cards about to be turned over sideways. Could it be
Mm,
a Sabo angle?
it
What do you
must.
think?
I don't know. I would love to see him have a Sabos and not answer the flamingo with his own flamingo here because he needs to not only answer the flamingo, he also needs to create a board. And Sabos sort of allows you to do that.
Yeah,
But
because
it
you at
Sabos
least
is
have 5.
dependent. Yeah, Sabos is dependent on what else is in your hand though, which you know what I haven't seen a lot of today? 5-drop crocodile. Where are my 5
You're
drop crocodiles at? Eh?
you're right. Neither player has dropped a single one.
I
It
don't think
hasn't like
I don't think I've seen a
that's interesting.
single throughout the tournament 5-drop crocodile come down. And that guy sticks to my hand, let me tell you. So, very
Uh,
interesting.
that is quite interesting.
You would think that card would be more popular too with the losing popularity of Brachio Bomber. That card is definitely comes up in value. The only thing that outs it is like a Flamingo and or a Big Kaido.
Oh,
So we're
he
gonna go ahead and
uses
attach 2.
2.
Very interesting. The 2 is gonna go ahead and yep, leaving himself with 2 cards in hand, and we have our own Moria. Moria is
There
gonna go ahead and either add the Mihawk or potential Law, but
takes
Law
the meat.
doesn't do it. Oh, he has the Law anyways. Dope.
So there's a
So we're
law.
aware that the last cards in hand are Flamingo, um, the Mihawk, and Mystery card. With leaving 2 Dawn up, you would assume it's going to be a Love Beam. So we can tell every single card in his hand. And if we have knowledge of the whole hand size, can we potentially win the game?
Not immediately on this turn, I would say.
Maybe.
Especially if it is a love beam and the Mihawk. That
Mm-hmm.
is what 6,000 extra, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. So at that point, you're guaranteed to survive at least 1 hit.
Well,
However,
that's the thing. 7 is equal to 9 in this game state. He doesn't have to 10 here. This is excessive, but respect.
yeah, he's just respecting it. He's forcing them to
He's gonna
use it.
pitch. Yeah, he's gonna pitch the Mihawk. If he wants to go ahead and block this, he'd have to be Mihawk plus Love
Love.
Beam. But if you just don't take it, you just okay. You just unfazed by what happened.
It looks like he's going for a face here, and then he's gonna use the crocodile effect to bounce the Moria back to hand. Because it was at this point where just constant clear board, just clear board, clear board, clear board. He's not allowing him to come back at all.
You can also there is something to be said about not Moriaing here. I mean, not bouncing the Moria because it will leave you at 10 Dawn on the following turn as opposed to 8. And even if he has the Moria, it doesn't allow him to go for game. It doesn't really do anything for him. So even though
It
he could, the question
yeah.
is, should he bounce the Moria?
I would say yes. Um, taking board advantage, removing bodies, not allow him to clear, not allow him to push any further at all whatsoever, puts you in a like a much better advantageous spot.
So he's gonna go ahead and use this Mihawk here because and he plays another law. If he minuses 4 the Moria here, he allows the Moria to add him back the Mihawk. He has the law in hand. He chooses
Oh, he chose not to. Oh, he has a
he cho-
second law. Okay, if he has a
yeah,
second law, then yes, it doesn't matter. You
he
don't
chose
bounce it.
not to do it. I haven't been keeping track of Noah's hand, but we most certainly know that the last card in his hand has to be the Gecko Moria, no?
Yes.
So we know exactly what is in Noah's hand. We're kind of like 70% of Kevin's hand. So with that information, what can we assess here? And the problem is that even if we were to deal with these laws, he has the Moria to recycle them, and it's going to be very difficult to deal with this Flamingo while also keeping a board state.
Hmm.
Very tough. We're also not allowed to bounce this Teach. as our saving grace has to be like an assortment of like weird cards that we draw. Because we definitely have a law in hand in Kevin's. In Kevin's hand, we have a law. So we're going to be lawing this turn and hoping to mitigate 1 damage via that. We also have a Love Beam and we have a Flamingo. So how do we deal with this board state knowing those things? Big tough. Actually,
I
big
don't
tough.
know if that. I don't
We
know.
kind of, I think
This is not a spot that you want to be in ever.
definitely not, but I feel like Crocodile and Gecko Moria do end up turning sideways if,
They
and
have
we kind of have to feel how Noah responds to that. We have to start with that.
they have to turn sideways. If they don't turn sideways, they have no pressure whatsoever. And then on Noah's turn, that'll be it.
Yeah, he has to make sure that he can deal with. It's just so much. It's gonna be so tough, right? Because in my head, right, the Crocodile and the Moria turn sideways. The laws double block this. And then you can argue that you can flamingo law and bounce the teach, but then if you bounce the teach, they're gonna just replay the teach to bounce your law, and then you have to defend 6 available Dawn on Crocodile, so you have to defend an 11, which is possible because you have the Love Beam.
Yeah, the lava beam allows you to do that.
Allows you to
If
go a
that,
little further, but then you have it also puts him on having a Mihawk in hand as well, which I am not sure if he does. That's the thing. He had to pitch it last turn. He chose to pitch it last turn actually,
mhm.
as opposed to Love Being. So this is now an interesting spot. But Love Beam, since it draws you a card, gives you the possibility of potentially drawing that out. So let's see how this game ends up playing out.
All right, here we go. What will Kevin do? Is it Sabo's angle?
No, he doesn't
No,
have.
it's
There's no way. If he has
Dobby.
Sobbles in hand, then he certainly loses. It has to be a Flamingo, Law, and Flip turn.
What do
But
you
by
send
do,
back?
we have to send back the Flamingo and the Teach because we have to mitigate the things that can potentially swing for game.
Yeah, but
And
the thing
once
is,
again,
if you send a teach, it's just gonna come right back down, and there goes the
sure,
law.
but we can potentially block an 11. We most certainly cannot block anything else. If we leave the Teach up, right? We are just gonna have to. He's gonna -4 the law, and then he's gonna go put one on the teach, and then he's gonna 5 and he's gonna 10 you. But can you get out of a 5 and a 10?
Uh,
I'm not so sure. That's what I think. The 5 is equal to a 9 at this point in time, if that makes
yeah,
any sense.
yeah.
So
Like at this point, I think he has to bounce the teach. He does. He actually does not have a choice here. Um, and then go for broke with a 11K crocodile.
yeah, he has to, and this is also not
Wait,
like
did you
a
just put it?
total win. Yeah, he minus
Yeah,
4. Oh, that's broken.
yeah.
He -4 the teach, putting his opponent to 10 on the play with potential lethal on board. The thing is, if
Yeah.
his opponent isn't able to lethal him, then Kevin can win, right? So
Okay.
let's say he teaches here, goes down, and he goes 6 on Crocodile, go for game. If that happens and he whiffs, then he could easily die on the comeback.
Yeah. Because what? If I see it correctly, Kevin has two cards in hand. One is a love beam. Uh, do we know what the second card is?
Mystery card. And the card that we will be drawing off of Love Beam is also a mystery card. So he,
Yeah.
at this point in time, I'm not sure that he can combo out of an 11. But there is a world where he can top deck the combo. I know, right?
Yeah.
Kind of sus, bro. Do you
This is
go for game here? Do
very.
you go for broke? I mean,
Do you go for game or go for the clear? What do you think?
when it's a best of one and losing means you're out, almost certainly out of the running for a Luffy, it's very tough to go for broke and not go for safety.
Yeah.
So
So safety here is what? Drop a flamingo to flamingo him, and then do you use
flamingoing
your
here also seems weird. That also doesn't seem like the answer. It's tough. It really is a tough scenario to be in. Definitely, the start has to be some sort of teach. Then
okay?
you can argue that we can go ahead and like put some Dawn onto the Crocodile to swing over the Gecko, but the Gecko's never getting swung over because then if you swing at the Gecko, you're not dying, so you're down to Love Beam it. So
Yeah.
it's just,
So at this point, I think you just go for
I
you
think
have
you
to go
have
for
to go
broke.
for broke, eh?
You go for broke. Like I honestly think, if you're not gonna go for broke, the flamingo play is better because then you can flamingo the flamingo, um, crocodile the one guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then put your damages onto your crocodile and just go in.
Yeah, you definitely could do that, but
Like
it is very like it
it'll
is.
force the law block, or it forces the cards
But
from
but
hand.
but by going T tier, basically Noah has committed to a play that is just not the flamingo,
Yeah.
right?
So he has to have a sabo or something,
He doesn't have to.
but it will
He's
put
he's
him in the
he's doing
spot.
a he's doing a 50-50 play, which is the worst type of play, right? Okay,
Yes.
we have been saying he has a love beam in hand this entire time. He also could just be bluffing it.
Yeah.
There is a world where he's doing that, and this is where the 50-50 play that Noah's I think he's thinking of. Does he want to go ahead and put 4 on his crocodile, go for 9, and say the mystery card isn't real, and then leave up 2 of your own, or what are we doing here? Or
I go
we
for broke. I just say nope. I go for broke.
So yeah, he doesn't
6?
go for broke. I'm telling you, he goes 6. Now 6, like I was saying, 6 is almost certainly equal to 9 in his board state like this, because we know one of the cards in his hand is law, which is do nothing,
Yep.
and it's either yeah, he
There's
says
the
I
love
do
beam.
actually have the love beam, so yep. So the last couple cards in Noah's hand that we are certain of are a Moria, which I guess will be deployed here, which
Yep.
will add a law, and then will we tap out for a law, and then he is left with one card in hand, which is Flamingo. So we have full knowledge of what's going on. If we can go ahead and he's gonna -4 here on the Moria. Yep, seems good. If we're able to figure out a way to deal with these laws, we can easily see Kevin just win the game. And the
Yep.
answer is one Sobbles. Not even one
Or
Sobbles. A Teach.
teach. Yeah.
There are literally infinite cards that just win Kevin the game.
Yeah.
The
Wait.
question is, does he
He has
have
two
it?
cards in hand. One is
Oh, one is. Am I missing a card here? Am I crazy? So yeah, he's gonna go for it. He says, "You don't got it. I'm gonna 6 make because he doesn't have a Mihawk that he's added back. He just has the Flamingo, and then he's gonna go 6, 7, and then 7 for game, and he doesn't combo out of it. Kevin is able to take it.
oh
And that is
wow,
literally what it comes down to in the
that
blue
was
mirror. You are
so
calculating
close.
each and every card in your opponent's hand while
Yeah.
also being able to count yourself out. The only thing that could have been done differently was what would have happened had Noah gone for broke. That's the only thing that you're going to end up taking away from this game. Had Noah
Yeah.
said, attach 6 to Crocodile, do you have an 11? That's very tough to say if
No,
Kevin
no,
would
he
have or
has to
not
go.
had
No,
it.
he has to be at 12. If he goes to 11.
Yeah, no, he would have had to love beam plus drawn a Mihawk and then have a 1K on top of that.
Yeah.
Had he had those, that sequence of cards, he would have won. But then in doing this, looking at what it was in Noah's hand, it looks like he was going to win anyways. So maybe it was arguable to just go for broke there.
Yeah. All right. Let's not be in here while they do their deck check.
Oh, 100%. I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and disappear.
Yep. Same.
And let's get back to talking about that very interesting game. I'm looking at the chat here, and the chat's all like, well, Kevin lost. GG, Noah wins. But here
No,
we
no,
are.
no. Here we go. Kevin takes the win.
And that's what I'm getting at. These blue mirrors are very complicated because even though it looks so crazy,
Yeah.
you just sometimes you always end up at the end of a blue mirror, your hand is now full of cards that just do not combo. If if you've been playing it correctly and you're flipping correctly, you have to expend to protect, and in doing so, you're left with
Yeah.
crocodiles, flamingos, and sobbles.
Yeah.
And then
That's
you
why,
can
like I
start putting
said.
people on bricks, and you can try to end the game right there. I do think the only difference, the only thing that I would have changed, it was a very, very good game. It was a long game, very well played from both players. I don't want to take anything away, but I think the only thing is Noah didn't identify if he had another turn. He should have just gone for broke there and said you
Yeah.
must top deck these cards, and
Yeah. That's that. Going for broke was 100% my go-to at least. Well, I've been pushing for that go for broke the whole time.
yeah, you're a big enjoyer of going for game. I like that.